One. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Warren,
And this is Jay.
and this is the postseason. Just recap of everything as we get started, getting ready for the next season and everything going on, all news and information. But stay tuned. We coming right up. And like I said, we back here to talk about the end of the Eagles season right now. Let's just kind of let's just talk about a little bit before we get moving forward to it. Let's just kind of talk about our show right now.
Yeah.
First, me and Jay started this back in September. We didn't really know what direction we were going to go, but we kind of said let's just go ahead and just move forward and just see how far it can take us. And we met a lot of awesome people going through this. Learned a lot. A lot of appreciate you, Dennis, Vincent, uh, just everybody. But
Main
Jay, yeah, Jay,
a lot of
give a
people.
little input on us right now on what we doing.
Yeah, we started off like we said, we started off, we got thrown into this, we didn't expect to go this far. We didn't expect to get this much support, we didn't go over the top, but it was fun for us, and we appreciate everybody who's tuned in, who gave us insight, who gave us, knowledge on what they know and what they feel. And it's just, it's good to see the growth in just year one.
Yeah, most definitely. And with it now being the off season, we just want to let everybody know just how we're going to be posting our live videos and our shorts and just how you're going to get information from us. First and foremost, I just want to let everybody know we're not too big on doing the rumor game. I think it's a lot of empty calories, and I think you're talking about a lot of information that may or may not happen. We like to know for sure that this is going on and is valid before we talk about it. That's one big thing that we are about us. Um, we all are Eagles fans. We all have our input and different ideas, and a lot of like insight on what we know. But at the end of the day, we all are collectively going for one goal with our team. So that's why we are called the collective. That's what we are. That's honestly that's kind of our mission statement right now. That's kind of just what we're about. But yeah, as we move forward, you guys are going to be seeing a little bit of us. We'll be popping on here when they talk about the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator when that's official. We'll talk a little bit about the draft coming up soon in February and different players we've seen. We'll talk a little bit about the free agency in February. After that, we'll get into the draft, and that'll be more March time. And then we'll probably be posting maybe twice a month moving forward up to the month of July when training camp starts. But you guys will still be hearing from us. We look forward to talking to you guys, communicating with you guys. If you guys ever want to come on, of course, you're more than welcome. Uh, with that being said, Jay, you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, basically, off season, we're still gonna be available in the off season. We're still gonna be, we're still gonna be posting when we get, solid concrete news, especially during the draft and times like that. So, we're gonna be around still. We appreciate everybody once again. We're gonna be around. We're not gonna go nowhere. We're not gonna go hide in a cave. And we're gonna also speak on how we feel, how the season ended, and how we all went on this roller coaster together.
Yeah, and right now I see it says any word if Vic is going to run the 3-4 or the 4-3. We're not too sure yet, and
Yeah,
it hasn't even been official that he is going to
yeah,
be our
it's
defensive coordinator.
it's official but unofficial, because he's flying to
Yeah,
Philly. It's gonna happen, So we could basically stamp it. It's not on paper yet, but it's 100% gonna happen. He's gonna be the defensive coordinator. He Miami mutually parted with him for. It's rare that you see a coordinator leave another coordinator position to in the middle. I mean, in the off season, it's just rare that you see that. They usually get fired or let go mutually. But this one he went to them. He knows Philly wants him. He wants to go to Philly, be close to his family in Scranton. So it all makes sense for him. Now, um, as far as he's gonna run a 3-4-4-3, we don't know. One thing about Vic Fangio I know is that he likes to use a lot of two high safeties. He likes, prevent. He likes a lot keeping things in front of him. He's all against letting the big play and the explosive plays happen. So I could expect the Eagles to play a little bit of a swarming defense, a little bit more aggressive. I hope they do stay in a 4-3.
Yeah, and Vic Fangio is kind of known for that bend but don't break type of defense.
Yes, yes,
Don't give up the big play. So
yeah.
it's good to have him. And at the end of the day, this is who the Eagles been wanting. Like even when we had Gannon, this is the coach that they've been looking for. So
Yeah.
now that they finally have him, they can see what they can do with them. Um, and I was listening to a few people talk about it, and the biggest thing that he brings to the Eagles and what makes him beneficial towards the Eagles is just the fact that he he kind of tells them, "Hey, this is the scheme that I want to put on with this player. Can you get me this player?" And that's when Harry Roseman and Nick make that move to try to get that player that can fit that scheme that he's looking for. So he's not about finding that certain player. He's all about the scheme fitting the player to fit his scheme. So that's
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what he's looking for. But yeah, we'll move forward into that. But we'll start off with just the what our thoughts are ending this season. Jay, I kind of want to get your input on this. Just as a whole, with it being a week past, a week past everything that's gone on. Just what is your full summary and thoughts on this?
It took a while to fully grasp the season, even though it happened very slow. It's like a slow, painful death. It just happened, and just you knew it was gonna happen, and never you know they were gonna explode, at some point. But to be first round bye exit, after being 10-1, disappointment, laughing stock of the NFL pretty much for the last 6 or 7 weeks, just to see them self implode. But be honest, I'm an Eagles fan 21 years. They didn't look right all season. As much as I was defending them, and shout to Dwayne, because even Dwayne at one point when I was defending them told me they're not good. You're defending them, they're not good, and they really weren't good. They had some talent. They were a very flawed team. They were just getting by on talent. And just pure games falling in their way. I don't want to call it luck, but things falling in their way. So I just think they need a full reset. They had a Super Bowl hangover without the win, which is how I really feel about this team. They had the Super
Yeah,
Bowl hangover. Then there's target on everybody's back. It's just, yeah, a lot of things were happening internally. Absolutely, things were happening internally, and it looked like it was happening right away. The team was winning, but it just didn't feel right. And after this the 49ers game, there was reports, there was a lot of finger pointing in the locker room, accountability and stuff. After that game, I don't feel like the 49ers themselves is that did it to us. I just feel like at that point, at the way they whatever was going on internally, it looked like it was on a crash collision course for that, because they got through the gauntlet stretch, and then when they started that beginning of the stretch, and then when they got to 49ers game, that's when everything kind of like fell apart. So I just feel
yeah,
like, and for me, I was off them after the Seahawks game. That's after the game where they should have won that game. They just had to make a stop on that 2-minute drill, and just get a stop. You got to get a stop. They couldn't get a stop. So for me, we were barely winning. Exactly, we was barely winning, and we was all masked up, hyped up. Just trying to. If it felt good to be in that position and just keep stacking those dubs, but in all reality, there was a lot of flaws. There was games they were trailing by 10 at half, 4 games in a row, 3 games in a row, and they won all those games. Nobody's ever done that. They were doing things that things were just falling in their way. And I'm not saying that Jalen's not talented, and I'm not saying that AJ's not talented, and they didn't have their moments. But on the whole, as a team, there was things going on in there, and it was obvious. They got 11 wins. I put it like this. This is my last statement. I'll let you go after this. I put it like this. They got 11 wins, right? Of
hmm
pure dysfunction.
yeah,
11 wins of pure dysfunction, right? Because that's what they had, dysfunction towards the end of the season. 11 wins with the hardest schedule. And they still got through, made it to the playoffs. And I truly believe they were a better team than Tampa, but the Eagles were broken. Anybody could have beat the Eagles at that point.
yeah. No, I agree with you. Everything you said, you kind of nailed it on the head. I think my biggest thing is, yeah, we did have the Super Bowl hangover. It was just a lot of things played played into the downfall of what happened. I can be the first to tell you I kind of felt a little weird going into the season because Nick Sirianni said how many times he was rewatching that Super Bowl game. And he was rewatching that Super Bowl game, looking at everything they could have did right. And if the whole focus was that Super Bowl and not what we can do this season and not the focus was this season and let's prove it this season, like the 49ers did, like these other teams did that lost. I feel like the focus could have been different.
That's a good point, Warren. That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah,
Because to dwell, like I said, to keep dwelling on last that game and to keep focusing on that is just it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
yeah, it's not. And then on top of that, then you got my biggest thing is what's going on, Vincent. We appreciate you.
Vincent, what's going on, bro?
And my biggest thing is just we knew what we were putting out there on film, and we did not match the energy of these other teams when it came to defensive personnel. Um, I think the defense is the most important group. I get it. The offense is the flash, the excitement. It's what gets the stats. But I feel like the defense is what makes teams, and I feel like we tried
Yeah,
to.
defense is what fear.
Yeah.
What is what that's how you impose your will on a team. Because offense,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have a team methodically, kill you and just slice you up, finesse you. But defense is where you're gonna make them feel it. So the Eagles
Yeah.
need to get back to that. But continue on. I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good. You're making a horrible point. And the thing is with the defense, we linebackers is the linebacker position is the quarterback position on defense.
Yes.
And we don't value that the way we should. If you look at these teams that are in the postseason right now, they have a solid linebacker core. And that's what hurt us. We thought we could slip away with it by bringing in these free agents and bringing in these rosters that got cut. And that did not help us. It did not help us at all. It actually hurt us.
Yes.
Nakobe Dean, he's still up for discussion, and we still need to see him at full performance with all the snaps to see what he can really do.
Yeah, because we
But
really don't even know.
exactly. So the whole thing is like we devalued the positions.
Historically, they devalue.
Yeah, they devalued it, and I think Bradbury should have been gone. I'm not a Bradbury fan. I think we should have let Bradbury go when last offseason, and we ended up keeping him, and now we reaping the repercussions of why we did it. So a lot of money, ultimately, from a business point of view, was wasted. A lot of money was wasted with no reward.
Shout to Gio and Vincent in the chat. Now I can say the name because I couldn't say the name on here because it's a private group. But I agree with everything you're saying, Warren. But listen, the team on both sides of the ball was broken. Offense was sputtering, like we spoke about yesterday earlier. I forgot which conversation we had about this. It'll be a game. The defense is holding them in the game, but the offense just can't get nothing going. They keep 3 and out, keep getting just a couple short completions, nothing's going. So the team as a whole wasn't playing for each other because a real football team, when they're doing good, they see the defense grinding, offense starts picking it up. If they see the defense is going through something, can't get up the field, offense will start, scoring and doing their thing. So it's like this team wasn't playing for each other. They was not playing for the next man. It was all just like Ray Lewis said. It's embarrassing that Ray Lewis had to come out and say this team's not playing for it. They're not playing for the guy next to them, and it really showed.
Yeah, and with that too, you got to think about this. You got Cunningham, you got Morrow, you got these linebackers and these free agents out here that are coming to our team to get noticed and to get picked up and to get a good contract. So a lot of them were coming in, honestly, being just kind of thinking of themselves. Like ultimately, like they came in saying, "Hey, I need to show out so I can get a good contract." And when we got all this other stuff going on, like switching to DC in the middle of everything going on, that backfired on us.
That was a
one
bad
thing
move.
one thing I will put out, and I think some of y'all can agree with me. The media isn't helping. The media is not helping what we're trying to do. And for like things like AJ Brown to come out during and have his little conference, and then just Gainwell, the information about Gainwell texting during halftime. Just so much media attention was going into this when I think we just need to play. Just like we just need to play. Yeah, we perform bad. We'll talk about it. We'll move forward. But all this other drama stuff that they trying to just like stir the pot on, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's what we're trying to do. Let the Cowboys do that, low key. Let the Cowboys just do that,
Yeah,
bro. We ain't on that.
and I hate to admit this as an Eagles fan, but we had a Cowboys type collapse for the end of the season. This is things they do. They start off real hot, and then the thing is, we were never really hot. They never blew nobody out. They never looked fully like the guys, like the team. You know, I had a couple. Jalen had a couple games, you know, where he went over the top, but overall, they didn't have one statement game all season, and that's crazy. Not one game all season made you or almost convinced you on both sides of the ball. They didn't have one complete game all season. It's crazy. Not one.
Yeah, and Vincent, he said, "Why would you?" I'll pull it back up. He said, "Why would you fire your coordinator mid-season? The players brought into the side, bought
Absolutely.
into the side, and he
Yeah.
was taken away."
Yeah, you could pin
That's
that up
where the
there.
confusion is. Like, think about Bayard and Leonard. They're coming in the middle of the season. They're getting schemed one way, and then you get removed and get another person in. It just looks uncoordinated. It looks unorganized. It doesn't look like a trustworthy team to like you second guess, hey, did I make a good decision coming here? Like
Listen,
we
that's
so
that's why
many
I
questions.
say that's why I say we were the laughing stock for the last 6 weeks of the NFL because even you don't think coaches and executives around the league didn't see that as a desperate move. They who does that? Who's a team that's guaranteed a playoff spot? You fire your DC, build whatever little continuity you have, automatically scratch it. We're gonna start over because let me tell you something. Seahawks game was the first game we had this Patricia's defense, and the defense played well in that game. Sidney Brown gave up a couple plays on the last drive, even though he made a couple good plays in the game prior. You could live with that. But for the fact that he left Bradbury on a one-on-one situation on an island
Mm-hmm.
with with a speedy rookie, and he's been getting burnt. That game right there was the game that made other teams just super attack Bradbury. Like after that game, he was just getting targeted after that. Targeted,
Yeah,
targeted.
yeah, and we were tested. We were battle tested. That's all it was. Vincent makes a good point that's going to help us segue into our next topic that we're going to go into. Nick Sirianni was the main issue. He hired the side. He promoted Brian Johnson and basically was looking like he wanted a yes man under. Yeah, like
Yep.
I and that's what I'm saying, Vincent. It's a lot of when you hearing all these rumors and all this stuff, the media, this is what it's putting into us. It could be true, it could not be true. Um, but as we talk about that, we'll move into we'll actually talk about the NFC Championship game, and we'll talk a little bit about the AFC Championship game, and just hey, at the end of the day, we're football people. We like watching football, so we'll just start off with the NFC first. Uh, you got the Lions and 49ers. Jay, what is your thoughts on this game?
Yeah.
Who do you expect to win this game? Yeah,
Yeah, without being biased and everything, the 49ers, I just think that Brock Purdy is has shown flaws already. And the defense on the Lions is not, the greatest. They have trouble getting stops, but they do have some players that can make several impacts, especially Hutchinson. He can make an impact. I just see Purdy under pressure. I don't think he played well last game. I think he got carried. And again, that's quote unquote a good team. Quarterback is not playing too well, even though in the last drive he made some plays. The defense bails him out. That's the type of wins you want your team to pull out. But I just see the Lions winning. I see the Lions taking it. They look like they're on a mission to go. 49ers luck probably runs out for me this weekend.
yeah. I'm kind of right there with you. Debo Samuel's going to be out this game. Uh, hey, Detroit hasn't won or went this far in so long. Like
91.
think about think about what that city is feeling right now.
Yeah.
So it's well deserved. I'm happy for that city. I'm happy for that team. I would like to see them get a win over the 49ers, and the 49ers can't make that excuse. Like, then it's going to start being the question: the 49ers can't get to the Super Bowl. What's going on? There's always something going on, always a collapse.
Yeah.
So,
They have a lot
so
of cap issues coming up to the 49ers. So like this year is like a
exactly.
winner to make it all because a lot of people got to get paid. They're not going to be able to keep up with other contracts. Purdy eventually is going to if Purdy wins this game and gets to the Super Bowl, even if he wins or loses, his price goes up. So it's just like
Hmm.
everything's going to come for them in full force next spring.
Yeah, that's so true. So yeah, I think we both in agreement that we're looking for the Lions to be the lead in that NFC championship game and be going to the Super Bowl. What do you think about this Chiefs Ravens game?
I think that game is going to be more exciting than the NFC Championship game. I think that game is going to be more calculating. I think it's going to be more of a shootout. You know,
Hmm.
I just think that the Ravens are a complete team. I think from
Hmm.
quarterback to defense to coaching to special teams, I just think they're fully complete. They're almost flawless to me. The Chiefs have a great defense this season. Their defense is, and they have Mahomes. So if you have Mahomes and a good defense, it doesn't even matter who your skill players are. But Mahomes and Rice are building a continuity with each other, big continuity with
Hmm.
each other. And every game, Rice is getting better. You know, there's gonna be that game where he takes the top off and has 150 and 2, 3 touchdowns. So, and there's still Kelsey there. So as long as he's there, I just think that there's going to be a tough game. If you really want me to say who I think is going to win, I think the Ravens are going to eke it out though at home.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw this at you. Um, as much as everybody loves the Chiefs, Taylor Swift with the Chiefs, all these endorsements with the Chiefs, can you see the Chiefs possibly winning this game?
Yeah, well, I can see the Chiefs win because, like I said, they have a good defense and they
Hmm.
have Mahomes, and that's probably the best modern quarterback of our era right now. Um, and a good defense. So I just think that they can give a Ravens. That's why I said the Ravens. I think are going to eke it out because
Yeah,
that stadium is hard is underrated for their noise. And they were mentioning in the last game, it's underrated for the environment. It's hard to play in M&T Stadium. So I just think that the Ravens are going to win. But if you have Mahomes and you have that defense, you still have a chance at all times.
exactly.
A good
And
chance.
and that's what I was thinking, but I want Lamar to win because Lamar has
Yeah.
been through some things too. So I would like to see him take this. But I think we're both, and I just think that Chiefs narrative is still out there, so we can't sleep on it. We got to always remember that.
Yeah.
It brings more money to the NFL with the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
So, but but yeah, I would personally like to see the Ravens in Detroit go to the Super Bowl. Uh, I'm glad we kind of both agree on that. That's cool. So
Yeah, yeah, and we didn't speak about that before, but
yeah,
and that's not even being biased. I just if you ask me who I don't want to go, anybody could win but the Niners. If you ask me who I want to go, like who I want to win, I don't care which
yeah,
one of the other three teams win.
yeah, you damn Skippy, bro. Nah.
Yeah, every team has a reason to win. Lamar deserves it, especially for everything. Lamar, I feel like as an athlete, I feel like Lamar is gets almost, and Jalen's my guy. Jalen is my guy, definitely. But it almost feel like Jalen gets more love than somebody like Lamar, and other quarterback like that gets more love than Lamar. Lamar about to be a 2-time MVP. Like he's made for this. When he got drafted, he fell all the way to the bottom of the first round, and the Eagles actually traded out of their pick to give it to the
Mhm.
Ravens so they could sneak back in at 32. And they picked Lamar. So Lamar got 31 teams that passed on him. All 31 teams passed. I'm sorry, all 32 teams passed on him.
Yeah, no, you right. Um, that's the beauty of the NFL at the end of the day. Like once you just need your ticket to get in, and you
Yeah.
can prove yourself. So but yeah, I'm happy
Look
for
at the Packers.
Lamar.
Look at the Packers. The Packers almost did it last week, man. The Packers
Jordan
almost
Love.
did it. If on the final drive before that, if they would have scored on that final drive, it would have been over for Purdy. It would have been over for the Niners. They would have been one and done in the playoffs. It was this close. I watched the whole game, man. I watched the whole game. That close. The Packers are what the Packers remind me of? How the Lions ended last season, minus the playoff run. Because the Lions
Okay.
went on an 8-game win streak and took that
Hmm.
momentum into this season. Everything Dan Campbell instilled in them. So the Packers I feel like this little run and the unexpected run they had in getting into the playoffs and winning that Dallas game and going tough and candlestick, and I feel like that all this experience is going to help Jordan Love. It doesn't help the Eagles because down the line we may run into him. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's good to see these young quarterbacks get their opportunities and thrive in them.
Yeah, most definitely. Like that's what we all about, seeing these players step up. Ever since the Brady era, everybody's been wondering who's gonna be that next person. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, it's good seeing these young quarterbacks come out and just kind of just show their work. Um Next, we'll talk about kind of what everybody's been talking about a little bit, which is this press conference that was going on yesterday with Nick and Roseman.
The MVP
Um
press conference.
if you don't know about it, we'll let you know. So basically, after the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, uh, the Eagles had exit interviews, conversations, talking. Um, but the media, they did not talk to the media during the exit interviews. So Nick and Howie Roseman both saw it was as an opportunity to just sit there and just talk about the season as a whole, what their expectations are, what they plan on doing moving forward. And Jay, I just kind of want to get your thoughts. You listened to the press conference. I listened to the press
Yeah.
conference. What did you get out of that?
You know, the irony and the timing of everything they're doing is, so we knew Nick wasn't going to be fired after 48 hours went by, and then they had the meeting, then they had the second meeting. But it just, I'll put it like this: Nick Sirianni got one more year in Philadelphia if he don't provide some type of systematic change,
Mm,
like drastic systematic change. He has 1 year because the fans are 50-50 on him. Is the team 50-50 on him? We don't know. The veterans backed him up. Fletcher and Jason and even Jalen backed him up. And,
mm,
they were all real sarcastic with their answers. Like, especially Fletcher. Fletcher told the reporter to get out his face when he asked him about Nick's job. They defended him. Jason defended him. But I tell you, he has 1 year, man. This year right here is gonna be like his rookie season. Like it's gonna
yeah,
be like a year to see where you're gonna go, and accept that there's gonna be a lot of fire under the sea and less patience. He's on his
yeah,
last limb. He's definitely on his last limb. And the only reason why I say that, he had 3 years. Think about it. It's hard to fire a coach that made the playoffs his first 3 seasons and has a good winning record, has won over 30 games in 3 years.
yeah,
But the players are playing the game. The coaches are putting the players in position to play the game. You know, don't tell me he's being bailed out by Jalen and AJ and these great stars, and they're making, because what happens if when things get cloudy one day, the roster's not. Can you coach up these young guys? Are you that type of coach? There's coaches that get more from less. Pete Carroll's one of those coaches in Seattle. He gets more from less. There's coaches that get more from these younger players, and they just know how to coach and put players in positions. So my thing is, what is his identity? I really don't know how to feel about something. Some days I want him to be the coach. Some days I say, you know what? All these head coaching options out there, why not take one? But it wouldn't be fair to not give him one more year. If you really look at his resume, if you're counting everything, if we're judging him on the last couple months, it would be easy to say he's gone. If he was in any other place, he probably would be gone. If he didn't make the Super Bowl last year, he probably would be gone.
yeah,
That helps him that they had that run last year and they won a lot in the beginning of the season. But like earlier, like we said, there's a lot of internal things going on that don't hit the media that we don't see. So to me, he's on his last limb. This is his last year. If he cannot prove some type of systematic change, a drastic one too, you got to get players to buy into you, man. You got to get it. It's a system, man. It's a system. It's a cult. It's a lifestyle that these players live on the field. They
mhm.
have to, and it comes from the coach. You see a lax players because he got a coach that don't check them.
Yeah. And Gio makes a good point. He wasn't convincing at the press conference. He's all over the place. Yeah, he was. And I think the way that I look at it, he does deserve a second year to prove himself. But at the end of the day, we know what we have as a team. We
Mm-hmm.
know our talent roster on that offense. I think we all are thinking the same thing. We want to get a ring before we lose Dallas Goddard, before we lose Devontae Smith, before AJ Brown wants a new contract, before Jalen Hurts just starts becoming a older QB.
Yep. Yep.
We want all these things beforehand. We don't want to lose somebody on that offense because that offense is what makes us. Like it's what makes the Eagles such a dominant force and just threatening on offense. That's what it is. So we would hate to lose these players. Um, I think my biggest thing about Nick, honestly, is the fact that he doesn't call plays. So my question is, what is it that you're doing? If you're not calling plays,
That's a good question. What's up,
you're
Dennis?
what's still going on, Dennis?
Everybody good?
Um, you're not calling any plays.
What is your
You're
exact
hiring
role?
an you're hiring an offensive coordinator to call your plays. But if this offensive coordinator is good and takes us far, we're going to be in the same predicament we were in with Shane Steichen. So there's nothing. He doesn't have an anchor to the reason why we keep him. So that's why I'm like, all right, why are we keeping you here if these offensive coordinators are the one that's really doing the job? Culture, that's cool. Like at the end of the day, culture is cool. We get that. But what are you doing that's setting you apart to where you can go to any other team and be dominant? Um, all these head coaches, they were either defensive or offensive coordinators before they got the job. And whether a team is doing bad or not, you still kind of hold down to your main piece. Whether it's, hey, we may be not doing well, but our offense is still staying focused, and our offense is still kind of keeping the main thing the main thing. Or if you're a defensive coordinator, your defense is still keeping the main thing the main thing. We weren't doing that on offense. So the question is, what is the whole purpose of him being here right now? Um, and that's where I was. That's where I was at when it was time for us to think about, hey, are we getting a new head coach? Um, but yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, Jay, you got anything on that?
Yeah, no, like I said, at first I wanted him gone. And I still kind of feel like with all these good proven options out there, like is this because you never see this many good coaches out on a limb, free, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of coaches starting to get hired, but they're gonna stick with him. So I feel like as fans, we gotta feel like we gotta stick by him. It's like a marriage to a coach, and it's just like as fans. And he's right now he's not hot with the fans. I mean, he's not good with the fans. All going into the season, he was great. Nobody had a thing to say about Sirianni, not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have some people might question some things, but like you said, what is he really good at? We're not gonna know. We're not gonna really know until this season comes and he goes through this. And how do you to me, I like to see how players rebound from things. Jalen has had a bad game, like he played bad versus the Jets, and then he had 5 straight good games. It's like I want to see how you rebound off this. Like what changes are you gonna make?
You remember when everybody asked about the team and he said we're still trying to find our identity? You
Yep.
remember that? I think when Nick Sirianni finds his identity on how he can make a stronger impact on a team during those crucial moments, like going 1-6, that's how he will find his identity of a head coach. Because ultimately, he's trying to figure out where he stands as a coach in the NFL. So I think
He's not very liked. He's not very liked even by other people.
we're dealing with a coach that's still trying to find himself in the
That's true.
NFL.
That's a good point, Warren. If he can't find like because what is his true identity if he has all these offensive gurus around him calling up these plays and driving everything up? And it also was like the same thing when Frank Reich left Doug Peterson. They were saying that the next, our offense has changed. We miss Frank Reich. Teams are always gonna say that. But then you got teams like Buffalo who fired their offense coordinator Ken Dorsey, and then they took the top off of everything and started getting all these explosive plays. So sometimes you hinder yourself with just one guy, So a lot of reports are saying that Brian Johnson's taking too much heat, like they're giving him too much of the blame, and it's more on Sirianni and the concepts, but something wasn't right. And if that's what they feel wasn't right, then that's what we're gonna go with. But like I said, he's on his last limb, and this is going to be the last chance for him to prove himself to stay in Philadelphia. If he doesn't have a good season, he may not even make it through.
No, he's not going to make it through. And I think the best way to kind of angle all this was we felt so confident in the team that we had to where we said we can throw it inexperienced coordinator in there on offense and defense and still try to take it. We can still throw in an inexperienced linebacker in that realm because Cunningham and Morrow were special team linebackers. Like we
Yeah.
can throw these people in there and we can still take it to the top.
Yeah, but look, Jalen needs a completely different offense. Like he needs, first of all, I know he's not a traditional, but you got to get him on the center. You got to get some play actions. Where's the RPOs? Where's the deception? We need something. The NFL is evolving. You cannot run a traditional, a regular traditional West Coast offense with just some regular plays. And where's everything going? Like I just don't see where the Eagles' identity was ever formed all season. They never had one. Remember, he said Nick said we're trying to find one. They never had one. Never.
So let me throw this at you too. At the press conference as well, they asked about the defense, the linebacker core, and Howard Roseman said they were very confident in the way that Cunningham played
Yep.
this season. I think he played okay.
I think
Um,
Cunningham played okay, but there was moments where he got beat. I think Cunningham is a good depth player, but he's not a full answer. He's not a
and still
sideline player.
and they still threw out that they have Nakobe Dean in their pocket. So when hearing that, makes me kind of think, okay, are we not going to invest in a linebacker this offseason? Or are we just sticking with Cunningham and Nakobe Dean?
It's not gonna
And
work.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that they have to most definitely draft either a corner, safety, or linebacker, whichever one. If one of those three are their best available player on the board at that moment, you go whichever one. Their first pick has to definitely be a defensive player. 100% as, and they definitely need some wideouts, some young, speedy guys, because you need a young guy in there to pick AJ and Devontae's brain. You need Zacchaeus and Quez is not it. I like Zacchaeus, but he's not it. There's better wide receiver threes out there in the league that we could have on this team. They don't have after AJ and Devontae. The drop off is tremendous, and you saw it once they were both out. There was just it was the drop off is tremendous. They don't have anybody who's even come. Julio Jones is 34. He was taking extra snaps. He tried, and then what happened? He gets knocked out the game.
Yeah, it was a lot going on. And like I said, it's not just one thing, it was multiple things that put us in the position that we were in.
Yeah.
Um, as we move forward, let's just kind of talk about the OCs right now in contention for the position of offensive coordinator for the Eagles. But we do have news that Vic Fangio is going to be the DC for the Eagles. Just
Yeah.
came out right now, but
Yeah. 2 hours
let's
ago, for sure.
yeah. So let's pull this out. So Gerard Johnson, he was the quarterback coach for the Houston Texans. He's been interviewing with the Eagles. You got Cliff Kingsbury and what's the dude's name?
Kellen
I'm
Moore.
sorry, Kellen
Kellen Moore.
Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Um, did did pretty decent. Then went off to the Chargers, and the Chargers are where they are right now. Um, I'm curious to see what Cliff Kingsbury can do as far as development with Jalen. Um, and then we got Frank Wright. Um, him and Nick Sirianni are very close with each other. Apparently, Frank Wright has been advising him on different coordinators to look at, but at the same time, he's available if necessary. So, with those head coaches, well, with those offensive coordinators, what is your thoughts, Jay, on these OCs right now?
I like I said, I think we need a more traditional offense. Somebody that has some type of somebody who's not too old school, but just a little bit more traditional, but with a little flair. Just not. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is good because he runs a lot of college stuff, a lot of shotgun stuff, and I want to get Jalen off of the shotgun stuff. If we could get him on the center, if you could get him with some motion and some play actions, where's the RPOs? The RPOs disappear. The RPOs is a staple in Philadelphia. Like since Foles, since Wentz, like that's something that they did so well. And even the screen game, Vincent I put it up last week about the screen game. Players not executing screens for screenplay to work. Everybody has to hit their assignment. You cannot have a screenplay and like 2, 3 guys missing what they got to do. That could work on another play, but not a screenplay. So a screenplay, everybody got to hit their job. Their screen game went to the garbage. Like they had no screen game last year. Every screen looked like an injury waiting to happen until Devontae got hurt on a bubble screen and pointless time. And what are you doing it for? So I remember Goddard getting hit on a lot of screens and just the offense being more dynamic. The predictability was so remarkable this season with them.
Yeah. I would like to see a older OC with the Eagles and an older established OC that does not mind staying in OC.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with that. One that doesn't mind staying in OC and working with Jalen. The type of QB that we have is a QB that is not going to perform his best if it's constantly rotation of OCs. He needs somebody that's going to be stable, is going to stay there, and keep building and working with him.
This would be
That's
his
what I
fourth
think we
OC.
need.
That's the thing. This would be his fourth. He's been in the
Yeah,
NFL, but be his fourth OC. So it's just, and then going back to college, he switched. Every single year, him having to continue learning on offense. When are you gonna get him to stay with some type of continuity within the system? And I know Sirianni's trying to keep his system, but it got to change. It's not working right now, brother. You got to change it up.
and let's just talk about Patrick Mahomes for an example. So you got Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes, correct?
Hmm?
Andy Reid had Eric Bieniemy, and then he has a new OC now, and they're still performing up to the same standard. Yes, they have new receivers, but their standard is still staying the same. Hell, they're going into the AFC Championship right now. So ultimately, Andy Reid is going to be the end of the day decision maker
Hmm?
when it comes to anything. That's not what we have on our end. We have an OC that if he can get vetoed any decision that he makes by the head coach,
Hmm?
and he doesn't have full reign of that.
Hmm?
So that's where I'm coming at with it. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that Nick was involved more with the play calling last year than he says he was, and involved more with. I think he's trying to shade it off like Brian's calling the play. I think he was more involved. I don't think this season going forward, like he already said it, he needs an OC who's gonna call the plays and completely run the offense, and that's what he needs, so he could focus on the team as a whole and also give some focus on the defense. And a good point what you said earlier. We need OCs that are going to stay. Vic Fangio wants to come to Philly because his family's from Scranton. He wants to ultimately retire in Philly. Hopefully, he's not leaving for a head coaching job. I think he would stay and build something special in Philly if he has the right personnel. You know, same thing with OC. It's hard to get a guy who you're going to say, oh, he's not going to take a head coaching job because that's an upgrade for anybody. Anybody would take a upgrade on their job or a promotion or whatnot. So we just need somebody with some type of traditional offenses with some flair of some new stuff, some RPOs and some fresh stuff. But we cannot continue to just leave Jalen in the shotgun because his whole career is going to be a shotgun quarterback, and that's not good. You got to get on the center more. You got to see the game from different angles. You barely ever see him run a play action. Go back and look at 2020 Jalen under Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Go look at that Jalen and look at the throws he made as a rookie in 2020 under with the play action on the run. You got to get him out on the run. Get him out. Don't let him sit in the pocket and let him bail. Get something where everything is, get him on a slide. Get him on a boot where a play action boot. Something where they can slide out and get somebody on the run. Get him in space because he's good at throwing on the run. He's good with his legs. Get him outside. I'm not saying he's not, because his numbers in pocket, the quarterback in this season was not good. But prior to this
Mm,
season, he was good in the pocket. This season, he didn't have the best pocket numbers. So I don't know if it was his knee, if he's gun shy, if it's the OC, if it's the plays, or what it is. But I would like to see him just get more into a quarterback mode.
yeah, and as you go into talking about Jalen too, um, there's been we kind of noticed the way how he was reacting on the sidelines during that Tampa game, kind of not really feeling it. I think it was a lot of him just not trusting the system at that moment. Like he just wasn't trusting anything going on. AJ's gone, Julio's gone. You know Devontae, even though he's in there playing, you know he's still injured to some extent.
Yeah, shout out to Devontae though to break the playoff single game record for receiving yards and have be on a bad ankle. Because you like you said, he wasn't 100. He might have been 80. He might have been 70. He might have been 90, but he wasn't 100. And then he put it out there. He put it out there because he said if the game if the final game of the season was a playoff game, he would have played. So that just goes to
Yeah,
show you that he healed up enough to play this game, and he was better, close but not 100.
yeah, most definitely. But yeah, just with all that information coming in, we still need to wait and see who that OC is going to be and see what their plan is. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a press conference coming soon, and we're going to hear what their thoughts are on the team and what they expect to do on the team. Uh, I personally think we need to bring in Derrick Henry. We need to find a way to get Derrick Henry here.
Derrick Henry, that's my number
Yeah,
one free agent target this season. And you know why I said it? I'll tell you why. The Eagles need a change of pace back. You can't have a running back by committee and not have the proper backs. Like you could have Swift and then a bruiser. You can't have Swift and Gainwell. Like that's not a tandem right there. They're two are kind of the
hmm,
same kind of running back in a weird way. Swift, gets down and runs a little bit harder than Gainwell, but you can't have two. You can have two of them, but where's the bruiser? When the Eagles won a Super Bowl in 2017, we had LeGarrette Blount, and LeGarrette Blount was imposing his will on everybody all season long, all season. So Derrick Henry, I believe in his latter career, can be like a LeGarrette Blount.
yeah. And look at the Detroit Lions right now with Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what they're doing.
That's the
Um,
tandem, right? Montgomery is a grind, like is a little bit
mhm.
heavier and gets in, and then Gibbs is the speedy guy.
Yeah, I would like to see us, as much as I like Boston Scott, see us part ways with Boston Scott, Rashad Penny, and
Yeah.
Gainwell, and possibly pick up Derrick Henry, and we can both have the Swift and Henry together. I think
Now, Swift,
that
I
would be
believe
elite.
they could bring Swift back on a short deal or a family deal or some type of deal, team friendly deal. But you don't know. He's a running back. Running backs want to get paid. If he does get offered a substantial amount of money, you can see him walking. You cannot blame him. This is going to be his only shot at this check. So it's going to also be interesting to see how they prioritize linebackers and the running backs in free agency and the draft. Are you going to draft a linebacker high or a running back high if he's there and the best available player? Are you?
Yeah, this is it. I don't know if you looked at the draft or if you watch college football as much, Jay, but there's a lot of good candidates coming out right now in the draft. There's a lot. There's a lot of good quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, linebackers. There's a lot. And I think this is kind of going to be that top tier type of draft this year. And you're going to
Yeah.
see a lot of teams do a lot of things going to be a lot of trades within this draft to get certain players that they want. Because I was looking at it, and there's a lot of good ones out there. So we can invest a lot, and we got a lot of good picks. We have a lot of picks this draft as well that can help us. But
Yeah, we have the most contemporary picks. We have the most.
yeah. But before we get up out of here, Jay, do you want to let the audience know anything before we walk out and kind of get back on there in the next 2 weeks?
No, I just want to definitely tell everybody I appreciate this, support. I mean, I'm always on checking podcasts and and any type of fan communities of other Eagle communities. So it's just cool to see other people support us. I don't even care if it's one or five people. People pop in and out. People are busy. If you ever clicked on any of our shorts, if you ever clicked on any video, I highly, highly appreciate it. If you could send it to a fan, like and subscribe. We never ask for subscribers. That's a typical thing to ask for subscribers. The only reason why we do is because it helps us and it helps the channel grow.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, just like what Jay said, we appreciate everybody. We're not going to go anywhere. We're still going to be here, still be communicating, still posting on the group, still posting on the fan page. We're going to still be active out here. But
Absolutely.
we appreciate everybody watching us. Appreciate you, Money Dollars.
Money Dallas.
Go Birds. But yeah, we're going to get up on out of here and go Birds.
Go Birds.